Hello, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program. This is Squashwarp Missions, and today we're going to visit Moho, and we're going to launch Kerbals to the space station, and probably some other space station things. So let's go look at Moho straight away. I'm very excited about this. I'm always excited about interplanetary probes. What can I say? They're great. Okay, where is Moho probe? Moho probe. Alright, let's fly this. First question is, do we have signal? Limited probe control. Communication. Oh. We actually don't have, fascinating. Can we do science? Yes, we can. Okay. So, it turns out that we don't have, the antenna range that we need. Let's look at the map and see what's going on there. Are we at our farthest approach from Kerbin? Where's Kerbin right now? That's pretty far. No, that's Eve. Where's Kerbin? Now we should be able to talk to Kerbin with this transmitter, as far as I know. Maybe I found something wrong in my studies. But either way, we have to fly this mission. So, we don't have attitude control, but we can run science experiments, but we can't transmit them back until we get connection. Can I change the thrust limiter? No, I cannot. So thrust limiter is stuck at 8.5%. And we have 2,100 meters per second of delta V. Right, can't make maneuver nodes. Where is Moho? I just want to focus on Moho. Focus view. Alright, we're going to fly by the dark side of Moho, and we're going to do it rather quickly. Alright, well, nothing for it. It's just time to time accelerate it. I am surprised. Let me real quick look at the image that I have that I based my probe designs on. That's not where it was. Files. So I think just the single relay antenna is insufficient at the farther parts of Moho's orbit until we get a level 3 tracking station. And because we only have a level 2 tracking station, we're going to be insufficient. Alright. Well. Hang on, I gotta tab through all the planets while I try to get back to my probe. Stand by. We get a little preview of all of the planets out here while I'm tabbing through. There we go. Alright, it's above us. There it is. There's Moho. Alright. Here we go. First visit to a planet other than Kerbin in this playthrough. Let's wait until Sphere of Influence changes. And there it is. We have 4 kilometers per second of orbital velocity, and that's only going to go up as we get closer. So we absolutely cannot do a meaningful... we can't capture into an orbit decently. But let's take a look at where our orbit brings us relative to Kerbin in the future. Set as target. We're going to head up while Kerbin's all the way over here. I'm just going to burn once we reach periaps, despite the fact that that is not really necessary or helpful. But critically, we need to do some science. So, mystery goo, atmospheric pressure, and temperature. Now we can't send them, so we just have to keep it. And do we have... I think we only have 1 of atmosphere, and unfortunately not being able to transmit the science means that we have to fail to take 2 of our scans, which is unfortunate because they would have been a decent haul of science. But we're going to miss out on them because of my inadequate signal. And we're going to warp until we get into space low, because I think that science will be more valuable. Now we gotta close that. This'll change when it's in space low. Just gently warping in. Wait until we are about 2 minutes away. Alright. We're still in space high. Now, I don't think I can capture into an orbit of any kind. What's my burn time? Does it tell me that? Vessel. It's not going to tell me that right now. Let's just go ahead and start burning the engines. Since we have very low thrust. I just noticed that the music is on, sorry. I've been excited. We can leave it on for a little bit longer. Alright. Give me science. We need to do all the experiments as soon as we're in space low. In space high. In space low. Keep. And we're passing our closest approach. Passing on the night side. We're gonna get pretty close. And this is our periaps. So this is the closest we're gonna get. Okay, let's turn off the music. And this is our periaps. We're gonna flip. Hello, Moho. Good to meet you. That was our science. Oh, there's a big crater over there. I've almost never been to Moho except for these types of flyby missions. I should have started burning way earlier. Well, let's time accelerate. I think I could probably burn for the whole rest of the time I'm here. Also, even if I do achieve an orbital capture, even if I do achieve an orbital capture, we won't actually be in a safe orbit. So we'll have to wait until we have signal again, and then we can get our science from Moho. So I think that's all. I think we just don't get high altitude Moho science. We get low altitude Moho science. So where's the temperature scan? Or where's this? Review data. Yeah, that's the science that we need to get. Keep the experiment. Do not reset that. Keep the experiment, and I'll wait for reception. So let's add an alarm for passing the sphere of influence, which will happen in 36 minutes. And goodbye, Moho. We hardly knew you. But that's our first interplanetary flyby. And now we're going to become just another solar probe, waiting for a chance to send our data back to Kerbin. That's us having left Moho's sphere of influence. So we'll just have to check periodically to see if we get signal. And we'll have to upgrade the tracking station to be able to talk to this probe again. All right, moving on. We now have a contract to orbit Moho, which I will accept, because we will eventually need to do that. But I don't want to run out of exceptional contract slots, so we got to be careful. So you may remember that last time I realized that our space station was missing a docking node. And so this is the probe that's going to launch that docking node. But first we have to wait until the space station is in an ideal position. We don't have to, but it would behoove us to wait until the space station comes to a more ideal position. So we want it to be maybe about here. I normally look at the landscape to tell me, but I can't see the landscape. It's easier to get to if we're ahead of it, if we're behind it than ahead of it. So I'll do that and throttle up. And here we wait. The staging is wrong. I don't remember making my staging like that. All right, here we go. That was close. Glad I checked that. All right. Heading on up. Whoop, 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 whoop. That's what you get for time accelerating. Hang on a second. Turn prograde. Why did that happen? Are we really aerodynamically... Is the fairing just too big? Fascinating. I've never seen that before. We're gonna have to send this docking node up on a different vehicle. Alright, I'm gonna try to reduce our descent. See if we can soft land this thing. Yeah, it doesn't want to fly this way. Okay. Well, the launch was a failure, but due to the bizarre nature of the spacecraft, we were able to fly it backwards and return it safely to the ocean and recover it. That is the weirdest thing. Is that just because the fairing was too tall? I should have checked my indicators. And why is my fairing blue? Why is my fairing stained on one side? That's so weird. What's happening? Well, anyway, we'll have to send up a docking node some other way. Let's recover this thing before it bounces itself to destruction. Actually, we could recover this to the vehicle assembly building. Let's try to fly it again. We recovered it. And now we can try launching it again. Alright, let's try that again. I'm gonna quick save. Save. Yeah. Whoops. There's the birds again. So now the VAB has the docking node. It's in storage. We can launch it again. I thought it was gonna give me an option to fill it up and launch, though. But it just said launch. Does it have fuel? No. What? Recover. Recover to the spaceplane hangar. Maybe they'll give me some fuel. Because my aircraft have the option to be filled up. Spaceplane hangar. What does this say? Launch. No. Prep for air launch. That's an interesting option. I've never seen that before. I'm having a miscommunication with my staff. Like, they're like, is this what you want? Oh my gosh. Alright, let's do a normal recovery. We'll have to build it again, but somehow differently, because that didn't work at all. Oh my god. Alright, let's go into the vehicle assembly building and see if we can fix this. I'll be right back. Okay, 9 days later, we're back with a modified version of the spacecraft that hopefully will fly better, and I've put us in the right alignment. Here we go. 60 meters per second. We're going to tilt over 5 degrees. Then we're going to go to prograde. And we're going to hope that this ascent profile actually works. Beautiful clouds today. Oh, looks so good. Okay. So far, so good. Still a little shallower than I would like, or steeper or whatever, but it's not bad. And we stayed pointed the right direction, so that's a plus. Alright, stage 2. I'm gonna burn to 90 kilometers. Alright. Decouple fairing. Alright, now you get to see my docking node. Very simple. This is all I wanted to launch. It's very simple. Set as target. Add maneuver. At Apo. We're ending up ahead of it. That's not what I wanted. Well, heck. We'll just see to the pants it. I wanted to be behind it so I could catch up on it with a lower orbit. But as it is, we're ahead of it. So we either have to wait a long time, or we have to go to a higher orbit and then slow down. I'll just get us into an intersecting orbit, set up my maneuvers, it'll be fine. Actually, I'm gonna get an intersect over here. That's closest approach. Let's add a maneuver at Apoaps to first let's fix our inclination issue. Let's get on the same inclination as it. We got a minor inclination difference. Good. And then burn until we get a nice, good close approach. 7 kilometers is not as close as I usually aim to get. But 1.3 is getting much closer. So let's just go to that maneuver and we'll do that and we'll call that good. Okay, this is going to be our first orbital docking, which means it means I get to use the Navy Fish docking alignment indicator. That's always fun. All right. In prograde and see, I'm going to turn on RCS. Yep, use RCS for the fine tune. That's pretty good. And we'll warp here. Turn target retrograde. And get ready to slow down as we arrive at the space station. Uh-oh, we've lost signal. Okay, good. Electric charge went away. 47 meters per second of relative velocity. Closest approach in 30 seconds. There we go. Slowed down. Closing speed 13 meters per second. Control from here. Docking port alignment indicator online. Closing speed 7 meters per second. If I time accelerate, it does that weird thing where it jumps all over the place. I don't know why it does that. So it makes it awkward to time accelerate. And if I time accelerate normally, it'll like jump around. So we're just going to wait for it to close in. All right, closing at 4 meters a second. 3 meters a second. And set as target. Let's close our approach velocity. And let's get rotated around. Actually, it might behoove us to control from here. There's a reason. So I'm going to control from that port. And I'm going to roll this way until we are side on. There, 90 degrees. And use fine control, RCS. We're drifting around a bit for some reason. don't know why we keep drifting off center. Let's slow down a bit. Oh, slow down a bit more. Okay. Any second now. There it is. Looking gorgeous. A little bit off center. And now we're going to undock here. And control the other craft. Undock there. That was weird. What? What? Oh, that is so bizarre. Okay, hang on. I'm gonna reload that because that's like creepy void confusion. All right, first reload. Apparently, it was possible to undock the back of my spacecraft from the front of my spacecraft, which I think means that I was attached on an interstage node inappropriately, which means when I undock this, all hell's gonna break loose. That's so weird. Okay, so this spacecraft is not actually attached to this part. This part is attached to this part. So I can't dock. Can I dock with this? Will it? It won't let me. It's probably not going to let me dock. All right, well, this is the way we're attached now, then. I was going to change the arrangement of the docking nodes. What happens if I undock here? Oh, that is too weird. Oh my gosh. This vessel is cursed. All right. Well, let's F9 that. Let's deal with this when the Kerbals are there to make some sense of this. Which reminds me, I forgot to give them any power tools. So that's a mistake. They desperately need power tools. What I can do is I can undock here. Switch to this craft, control from here, target this docking port, and then this way. Roll in this direction to get it. Whoa. Get it pointed the right way. And here. Fine control. Roll. Drifting. All right, there we go. Okay, so dealing with this mess is another thing, but at least now the Kerbals can dock here and get inside their spacecraft through this adapter. Yeesh. What a cursed mission. All right. We finished our high-resolution scan-set survey of Minmus. And we performed a rendezvous maneuver around Kerbin, started a first space station, and performed a docking maneuver. Yes, we have. Okay, now let's extend this communication antenna, because I didn't notice that I hadn't extended that, just for aesthetic purposes. Let's... Do I not have fuel transfer? Enable crossfeed. Where else might I not have? That's got crossfeed. That's got crossfeed. So the fairing might be blocking crossfeed. I wanted to be able to transfer fuel from here to here. But it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to do that. I can at least pump some monopropellant out. But it's fine. We will... It's fine. Let's carry on to our next launch. That scared the bejesus out of me. Don't mind me, I'm just fast-forwarding one day at a time and checking in at the mission control. I'm gonna stop doing this in a second. But that thunder scared me. Oh, that's so pretty. It's like coming through the clouds. It's like an actual sunset. They've actually made a mod that creates an actual sunset sky. That's incredible. All right. Let's launch the Griffin Mark 1. Who is going to be aboard the Griffin Mark 1? Well, we need like one pilot, so Jebediah makes sense. Bill has not gotten to go into space. But do we need... Like, who do we actually need? Okay, hang on a sec. Let me think about this. So, I decided to send Bill on this mission, as well as two new Kerbals, Staffel and Joffrey, who I just hired. Let's get our timing for launch correct. And this time I'm just going to let the space station pass overhead. And then I'll launch. Alright. Here we go. Here's the new Griffin spacecraft. Now, this thing has a bit of a low thrust-to-weight ratio once those solid rocket boosters burn out. So, it's actually not the worst thing to fly a kind of steep, straight-up ascent profile to make sure that we get lofted up into the air while our main stage has low thrust. Although this is particularly straight. I feel like maybe we... Yeah, but see, even our time to apoapse is not increasing. Okay, now it's going up. We have more than enough delta V. Sunset. It's not an efficient launch trajectory, but it may be the one that we need to make sure that our apoapse doesn't approach too quickly. If we launched shallow, the engine wouldn't have enough thrust to actually keep us going upwards. We're kind of pushing this skipper engine to its limit. time to apoapsis is still increasing, as is the apoapsis altitude. Look, you can see the mountains poking through the clouds. Oop, we switched into orbit. That's okay. Time to apoapsis is still increasing. Just very slowly. We'll go into a 100-kilometer orbit. Second stage. And now we're just on the poodle. And I think we can safely ditch the launch escape system now. This is a quiet engine. And pretty low thrust. This is a relatively heavy spacecraft. We've got a lot of fuel and monopropellant in here, and this is full of supplies. We've got enough supplies for like 130 days for these 3 Kerbals. Oops, we went to a 106-kilometer orbit. That's fine. Alright, add a maneuver at Apo. Now let's make sure this is set as target, just in case we get a nice encounter. Yeah. So let's create a maneuver that brings our periaps up to 80 kilometers. And deploy the solar panels. And warping to our maneuver. Just in time. We deployed the solar panels just in time for the sun to go behind Kerbin, but that's okay. Four, 3, 2, 1, 0. Alright, our periaps is out of the atmosphere. Now let's start looking at transferring to meet the space station. Nope. Manticore space station. Nope. Manticore. Give me set as target. There's a 0.9 kilometer intersect right there. So let's save and let's can we just warp to maneuver node? Now that's a margin of 3 minutes. Let's warp here. Okay. It's just a 2-second burn, very minor adjustment. And making the fine-tune adjustment with RCS. And I think I can make the close approach closer if I burn in one of the other directions. Eh. 0.7 is close enough. Instead of spending monopropellant, we'll just say that's close enough. We'll warp here and point the craft target retrograde. So these are our first visitors to the space station. They're going to be the space station's new residents for the foreseeable future. How soon to intercept? 1 minute.
Yeah,
40 seconds. All right, closing in. Just in time for sunrise. Just pushing my retrograde marker around until it's overlapping with the station. Oh, look, it didn't jump. That's amazing. 2, 3, 2, 1, 0. All right, now control from here. And is that where we want to dock? No, we probably want to dock here. Okay. Can I do it from here? Maybe. I do think I need the docking alignment indicator. Alright, let's get pointed the right direction. Pointed the right direction, now we'll rotate the right direction. Let's retract our solar panels just in case I make a mistake. Okay, we need to back up into them. They're behind us. Hadn't realized that. I can't quite tell what's happening. Okay. We're gonna pass them slowly. Okay. They're now ahead of us. We're translating. Okay, we're getting aligned. I can see them in front of us now. And translate towards them. Closing in. On final approach. Ready for docking, it says. Yep. It's giving me a little indicator. Looks like I need to be a little down. And to the... yeah, a little bit down. A little centered. And we did it. That was fun. Okay. IVA docking success. With docking port alignment indicator. F5. And now Staffel, Joffrey, and Bill can go in and habitate the space station. We can extend these panels again now that we're not worried about hitting into anything. And now that because the docking node is rearranged, they can actually go inside. So, Bill, go ahead and check out the new accommodations. Staffel. Transfer. And Joffrey, why don't you check out the control room? I could have sworn I downloaded these. Did I not install them? Well, they're in the void. But, let's turn the lights on. Well, either way, we need to start the habitat. So, they don't have internal views of this yet. I thought I had installed that, but I guess I didn't. I'll check my mod install later. That's the wrong one. This one. So they have supplies for 251 days, electric charge for 3 days with solar panels to replenish it. But they're only going to habitate here for 22 days. But once we activate the habitat, they're happy to be here for 157 days. Let's close that. Let's see what all these contracts are. High resolution altimetry scan. We got to check on our scanners. We have successfully crewed Manticore Station. And we've performed a crew transfer near Kerbin, which gave us some extra stuff. The other thing we can do, actually... How do I... How do I transfer them back out? How do I get them out? Joffrey Kerman. Transfer crew. Transfer into here. EVA. Why is hatch obstructed? Is the space station too close? Standby. Control from here. Set as target. Retract solar panels. Just gonna do a quick reorganization. I said retract solar panels, thank you. We're testing the autonomous docking capabilities of the craft because this thing does have a probe core installed. There's a hex core hidden inside, which means that it does not need any crew and it can be an autonomous vehicle. Okay, now can you get out? There we go. It was just because he was going to bump his head on that. Okay, board. Now, there was a whole thing that I... series of orbital maneuvers in orbit of the homeworld. Docked, Agena, TBD, and any vessel. So I have to name it Agena TBD? I don't fully understand what this contract wants, and I might end up cheating to get rid of it, because... do I have to name my craft something? Because it says vessel Agena new, but my vessel isn't named Agena. And docked... we obviously docked. And we performed an EVA. Look, we can even let go. And take a look at the space station. All right. We even got a screenshot, so I don't know what more they could want from us. Board. Go ahead and go in here. They're all happily inside the habitation module. They just they're hanging out in the dark, I guess. Anyway, I don't know why we haven't completed this contract, so I'll look into that, and I'll look into whatever other problems I've been having. They had lots to say there. We need to set a timer. So, habitat, 157 days. So let's set a timer for 140 days. Manticore Station alarm is crew rotations. And it is in 140 days. So we will have launched probes to Sarnus, Moho, Erlem, and Nidon by the time we need to take these Kerbals and bring them home. That's amazing. Alright, let's go home. Good job. You just habitate up there. We'll send up more supplies and stuff when you need it. Enjoy! Alright, we got one more large vehicle to launch, and I think we'll launch it to a similar orbit to the space station, but not actually to the space station. And that is the beginnings of what will become sort of the Minmus space station. Oh, pardon me. I don't want to load the tourist on this ship with no one else aboard. Thank you. Isn't this a pretty rocket? I like being able to change the color of the parts and stuff. Alright, this doesn't seem right to me. This is supposed to be in the same stage as this. Okay, and these are supposed to be in the same stage as this too. What's going on here? Let's double check everything. And that should be here. No, this should be... yep, that's the same stage. And that... okay. Alright. Fingers crossed. Here we go. So this, I'm calling it the Dryad Transfer Vehicle. It is going to serve as a go-between between Minmus and Kerbin, because Minmus is far enough away that it's actually with the USI Life Support mod, we actually don't have capsules that support Kerbals long enough for them to go to Minmus and back, so we need to send them with more habitation than a normal capsule anyway. So I figured that could just double as part of the space station for whenever they're there, and then the rest of the time, they just travel back to Kerbin in it. So that's the idea. We're creating a spacecraft that can fly between Kerbin and Minmus, that will function like a space station when it's there, and like a spacecraft when it's on the way back. So we used some engines from the KW rocketry pack to get enough thrust off the launch pad. And then we're back to the skipper now. But I've finally flown a good ascent profile, I think. So I'm feeling good about that. We're going to switch to orbital soon. I might switch us back to surface. No, I think it's okay. I think it'll be fine. That wasn't a big difference. And so there's a real question as to whether or not I've actually thought of everything that the spacecraft is going to need. Some of my ships lately have been missing important components, just from... there goes the fairing deployment. And now you can see the spacecraft. It's got a docking node built in this time, and a habitation module and a small station core, as well as life support. And then this upper stage actually is part of the spacecraft. We don't separate here. This is all one thing, and we keep this engine with us. So now this is the whole spacecraft. We want to make sure that the fuel tank, the propellant tank, is full before we leave for Minmus. I'm going to burn out to about 100 kilometers, and then that can be our rendezvous orbit. Add maneuver at Apo. To circularize. Okay, close enough. 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Where is my spacecraft? There it is. We got zoomed way out. So this is the Dryad. The space station is the Manticore. If you haven't guessed, my naming scheme is just the new monster manual. I haven't used the new monster manual yet for my D&D game because we haven't finished the adventure we were on before I got it. So I'm using the new monster manual for a naming scheme. Not that the monsters are different from the old monster manual, but well, they're different in the text. The names aren't different. Okay. So as we build bigger and bigger craft, we'll name them after scarier and scarier monsters. So this is the smallest I could make this craft and still have it have the attributes that I needed it to have. which was that it needed a station core and a habitation. Needed a habitation and a station core. And once it's out at Minmus, that's gonna qualify it as a space station. Alright, 99 by 103. Let's rotate 180 degrees. Deploy the solar panels. We can deploy the radiator, which we don't really need. And we can reorient so as to be getting the sun. And we're going to dock the science lab on the end and then send some crew up. Transfer the crew in and then fly the whole thing out to Minmus. That's my plan. And hopefully there's enough fuel. Lots of contracts complete. Oh, scan for a suitable location for a new base. Conduct a multi-spectral ScanSat survey of the moon. Low resolution resource ScanSat. Yeah. Okay. And that's the last thing we need to do is we need to check in on our scanning devices. So let's do that while we're here. All right, high resolution altimetry is not actually done. Biome is done, so let's stop the multispectral. Wait, hang on. I'm looking at the wrong body. We want to be looking at the moon. Okay, biome is not done. What about visual? Visual is not done. How about altimetry? Not done. So what were you talking about? Maybe it's Minmus that's done? Surely not. Surely not. Well, they're not done at all. I don't know what they're telling us about, but these scanners are not done at all. So we will let them continue to scan. And actually, next time, our Duna probe is going to arrive at Duna. So that's what we're going to see next time, is our first interplanetary probe for Duna will be arriving there before we're done with the next construction. That's Starshot. There it is. There's the Duna probe. You see how close it is to Duna now? Focus view. Only a matter of days, and they'll come to closest approach. And we'll be getting some science back from Duna, assuming we have signal from Duna. Which brings me to the question, should we upgrade our tracking station? That might help make up for any mistakes that I've made in my calculations about communications. Now, I don't think that the building upgrade would be done by the time we would need it for the Duna module, but thankfully we just need a retrograde burn, so I think we'll be okay. I was hoping to save up my money to upgrade the research and development building, which we almost have enough to do. Well, we have enough to do now, but we don't have the science to unlock anything past 500 science anyway, so actually I think a tracking station upgrade is perhaps what's due next. But I will ponder it, so maybe we'll do that next time. Regardless, thank you very much, have a great week, and thanks for flying with me.